Far too many business owners and entrepreneurs focus on building a business and not a brand. On this Branding Bites podcast, I dish out bite-sized strategies to keep your personal brand front and center to make a more significant impact and see bigger results in your business. Hey there, it's Kristen Korn, and you're listening to the Branding Bites podcast, episode number 7. The real reason people unsubscribe from your emails. This is so fun. The subject is seriously one of my favorites. So, story time. This week, I cussed in an email and 8 people unsubscribed within 1 hour of pressing send on my weekly email, my Branding Bites weekly email list. So, if you're on that email list, you may remember the Get Your Shit Together in 2020 campaign I sent this week to your inbox. I also shared it on Instagram in my feed and then in stories for Instagram and Facebook. And what it did is it listed the 5 steps I recommended for your brand and business in order to, quote unquote, get your shit together in 2020. Well, when I sent out that campaign, 8 people unsubscribed from my email list within 1 hour. Now, every week, a few people will unsubscribe, and that is totally normal. This week, it just happened to be 8 people. And the reason is because they're not my ideal client avatar. They're not my ICA. And that is totally fine. You can go ahead and unsubscribe. Because my words in my stories, maybe my products, they just don't speak to those 8 people. And how do I know that? That is because I got the idea for that Get Your Shit Together in 2020 campaign directly from my ICA. I took the words right from the mouths of actually 2 of my niche clients. 2 of them said the exact same thing. So I recently launched a new creative styled stock library. It's called the Grand Library by Kristen. And when I asked these 2 ladies what their first impression of my brand was to them. So back in the day when they first came in contact with my brand, what came to mind? And 2 of them said the exact same line in their response. So Kelly responded by saying, "When I first came in contact with Kristen, her pictures and content looked so put together. She was so organized and everything was perfect and it all matched. At the same time, I didn't realize how important it was. I just knew when I came in contact with her stuff, I thought, oh, this is Kristen. I can tell. I knew this girl had her shit together and I wanted to get my shit together too." And then another client, Jennifer, said, "I fell in love with not only Kristen's posts, but also her logos right away. She had a great style that I connected with immediately that made me feel like I wanted to be like her. Not comparatively, but I knew I needed to get my shit together so I can do these things like her." Okay. And both of them said after they spoke it, because they spoke it to me through Marco Polo, which is like a video app. And they're like, "You can edit that as needed. You can take out the shit, the cussing part." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm leaving it as is. That was your thoughts." So it is totally fine that those 8 people weren't my right audience and felt the need to unsubscribe from my list. Because you guys, if I live in fear of offending everybody that I come in contact with, I am never going to be able to attract the right audience that I am here to serve with my content and my products. So people can totally unsubscribe and I'm not going to be mad. They're not my people and they're not meant for me to serve right now. But since I'm all about being transparent and honest, the old Kristen would totally be freaking out that someone got upset or possibly was offended by my words or actions. But the new Kristen, I know exactly who my ideal client is because I have done my research and I know everything about them. I know everything about her. It's a girl. I know that my ideal client cusses at times and uses the terms, "get my shit together." My ICA can honestly admit that their life, their social presence, and their business Like, it's not perfect, but they work their butts off every day to be better. And you know what? They drink like a glass of wine or a Truly, and they cuss a few times at night maybe. But that's just the way that they can make their day end a little better. I know who they are. So all it does is it comes down to attracting versus chasing. I'm not chasing anybody. I'm attracting the right people to me because I know who they are and I know what they need. So I'm not going to chase everyone to follow me or join my email list. But by knowing who my ideal client avatar and audience is, I do have that ability to attract them to my brand. And that's what you have the ability to do, is attract people to you by speaking their language. Okay, the other awesome stat that appeared within the same hour after sending that email, 7 people clicked the links in my email that sent them to landing pages about my product offerings. Meaning, those 7 people are my ideal client avatar. So, if I was out here trying to catch every social follower, every podcast listener, every reader I could, I would be attracting the wrong audience. I'd be doing the wrong thing for my brand, for my business. So instead, I have literally pinpointed, I know where to aim, who my ideal client is, and I know everything about their avatar. I know things like how they spend their evenings, what their workday looks like, what beverages they drink at night, what vacations they take, how many kids they have, what they dream of, where they're shopping, what they're trying to achieve in life, what influencers they follow, what blogs they read, what books they listen to, and what podcasts they listen to. This episode of the Branding Bites podcast is brought to you by my Branding for Beginners Blueprint online course. If you are ready to stop flying under the radar and instead increase your visibility and influence, I invite you to use my branding expertise for your own brand. Get instant access today at mybrandingcourse.com. You'll skip past all the hours of individual research and go right to implementing proven strategies to grow your brand. Join the Branding for Beginners Blueprint full step-by-step implementation course today at mybrandingcourse.com and start delivering your content in a strategic yet authentic way. So, you need to know who you are serving in order to make the impact you want to see in your business. You guys, if your net is too large, you're going to impact nobody. This means talking to too many people actually will hurt your profits in your business. So instead, try to be a big fish in a little pond. And the little pond, that's your niche audience. I truly believe not enough people are taking advantage of niches. And I think us as women, we have a great opportunity to do this. So the riches are truly in the niches. So as you look to discover your niche, first determine, where do people start with you? Like, meaning when they come in contact with your brand and your business, like, where are they mentally, emotionally, at the beginning of the journey before purchasing any product or service from you? Like, what are they thinking? What are they saying? Because this is a great place to start the conversation and create that lead. So you want to target your marketing efforts specifically to him or her. So when you're writing content for your social posts or emails or blog posts or sales copy, it can be helpful to simply write as though your ICA, your ideal client avatar, is sitting right across the table from you. You are talking directly to him or her. Great tip is, if you have past clients, and most people do, go research them, like the demographic information, like how old they are, their gender, where do they live, anything that's going to give you a look and feel to that ICA, and even give them a name. Like, I have 5 ICAs that I keep on my notes, little stickies on your computer. I know who they are. So when I look at that name, I know exactly who she is, and I'm going to talk to her in my post. Okay? Little trick. So in order for me to speak to my ICA about this 2020 campaign, like I needed to know how they spoke, right? I needed to use their language. So pay attention to the words they use on social media, not only in their captions, like their text for their feed, but especially in actual conversations you have with them, like over the phone or over video apps or something like that. Like what words and phrases are they using? And even if you need to record your conversations with them, do that. I do this all the time with clients I talk to. I record our conversations, or if I speak to them through Marco Polo app, I'll go back and record it or re-listen to it and then type out what they're talking about. Like I use those words. I do this a lot when I was coming up with my Branding for Beginners course. I needed to research who that person is and what their pains were and how I could help them. So do whatever it takes to start paying attention to the way they talk, and it should help you understand the language and the tone they use so you can use it to speak to them in your original content. So I teach a lot about how to attract your ideal client inside my Branding for Beginners Blueprint course. And one of my students, Danielle, had this to say after determining her exact ICA. She said, "This whole niche is changing my brain and how much things are flowing in my head. I have so many things that I want to talk about in my posts." So not only will your content become more effective when you determine and speak to your niche audience, you're going to have endless content to talk about with them because you know everything that they like. Okay? So to wrap up this episode, the real reason people unsubscribe from your emails, it's a good thing. They're not your ideal client. So move on, smile that you aren't wasting their time any longer or your own, and continue to carve out your niche and find the people you are here to serve because they just weren't it. All right, purpose-driven CEOs, until next time, keep putting purpose behind your brand, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Branding Bites podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so hop on over to Instagram at Stay in Your Lane Brand and drop a comment. And if you're feeling extra gracious, please leave a review wherever you caught this podcast. You can dive into the show notes for this episode and all episodes at brandingbitespodcast.com. And if you love this podcast, please share it with a friend. Thanks for tuning in.